The Miyoo Mini V4 has been one of my favorite emulation handhelds for quite some time, and it was one of my favorite handhelds of last year. Also, one of my most used just because of the fact that it's so darn small. I take it literally everywhere with me because I'm one of those people who pretty much wears pants year round, so I always got ample pocket space to keep this thing with me even during the warmer months. And when it's the winter, I just slide this thing into my coat, and 9 times out of 10, I kind of forget it's there. Now that 2 months have passed and a bunch of holidays and announcements, how does the Miyoo Mini V4 still stack up 2 months later, at least in my personal experience? I know the device is older than that. So let's just jump right into this with what have I actually been playing on this thing? And I'll be honest, the game system I play the most is Game Boy Advanced on this thing. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon ROM hacks. They've been honestly amazing. Pokemon Sun, and another Pokemon ROM hack that was an adaptation of Pokemon Sun in like a weird new story. It's a very weird ROM hack, but I've been enjoying it. It came pre-installed on the Miyoo Mini. Battery life has been fairly consistent, and it has been one of my favorite things about this thing because I can just put it to sleep and it sits in my pocket for like a week and before I turn it on again, and it has a charge at least fairly consistently. Sometimes if I go a little long time without touching the thing, it does turn off, and it needed to sit on the charger for like a day. That's only happened once, but it's still something to take in consideration if you see yourself not playing it as often. I find myself primarily playing the Miyoo Mini whenever I have a down moment, whenever I'm just in between activities or in commute between things. I just find myself, whenever I have a little bit of downtime, I whip this thing out, play a little Pokemon or play a little bit of Mario just to get something done or just to do something in the lulls. And I do kind of look like a nerd when I'm playing games like that out in public, but who cares? Like, I used to be that kid who walked around with a 3DS all day trying to do Street Pass and whatnot. PictoChat when I was even younger with my original DS. Zero shame when it comes to playing on gaming systems in public. I was even bringing my Nintendo Switch to school. So the Miyoo Mini is a natural evolution of that for me, being able to play any game I want on the go at the easiest way possible in the smallest form factor possible. Navigation and UI for the device has been pretty nice. I put on a theme from the pre-downloaded themes found on the Miyoo Mini itself, and I love it. There are a ton of different theme options, but I'm personally fond of this retro, just like super Game Boy original styled one, but it's like higher quality, like almost like a 16-bit variant of it, but it still has that nice like neon green aesthetic. I love it. The Miyoo Mini Flip device has finally released, and so some people might be more interested in that, but personally, I've never been a huge fan of the flip form factors, especially when they're SP style devices. I always found the layout way too cramped, especially if you have analog sticks in there like the Miyoo variant does. Performance has been pretty good. I updated one of the emulators, the PS1 emulator, because some people in the comments have brought it to my attention that PS1 performance, like I mentioned before in that video, like I said, wasn't amazing, but after updating the emulator, it did actually improve performance. I'm not safe to say that it's 100% perfect, but it did help increase the performance in some of the games that I played in that video to make them at least more playable and overall just just generally better experience. But that doesn't really change the fact that it is only a D-pad and the 4 face buttons and the 4 shoulder buttons, so playing anything that requires an analog stick just isn't all that comfortable still. So yes, performance is better, but I was never really going to be playing PS1 games on this in the first place because of just the lack of extra buttons. To me though, that isn't really what this device is designed for. It is clearly designed to play the classics from the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy, the original NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, that era stuff. It's not really optimized for playing any 3D titles. It's just simply not what the thing is designed for. There are ports you can do, which I haven't really delved too deeply into. I tried getting Portmaster to work with the Stardew Valley port, but it just didn't really work. Like, I would get the game to boot, but it would like instantly lock up. So I just gave up on the idea. I'm sure it's something that I'm doing that is wrong because plenty of other people have managed to get it to work before with many document cases of it working. But for me personally, I didn't really care to look into what I was doing wrong because it's just something that I'm not terribly interested in. But it's still an incredibly cool thing you can do if that's something you like. Being able to port over some PC games, some indie titles onto that device, and being able in some cases transfer saves between other emulation devices with that port. Even though this device is now showing its age a little bit, it's still, I feel like, a great value, especially if you know what you want, and this device can provide that. The price point of around $50 for a base model variant with no extra games that you might have access to on your own, or just any extra nonsense like a carrying case or something, just a base $50 model found on AliExpress, I think is a great choice for many people. I think it's a great basic emulation device. Or if you're just getting into the hobby and you don't want to pour a bunch of money into like an Odin 2 or something, and you can buy this, give it a shot. If you're like, oh, this is great, I wish I could play some of the, higher performance, just more intensive games, you could go ahead and maybe get something like the Anbernic RG556, which is a device that I've talked about a lot. I had a roller coastering of just opinions on that, but I've settled on it's a great device if you fit the specific niche of, what that thing is capable of. But nowadays, I actually might say picking up like an older Retro Pocket 4 or 4 Pro, which have seen massive price cuts in recent times, but not really the Anbernic, which those devices were all very similar to each other. The Miyoo Mini is still one of my favorite devices. I take it everywhere with me. So I have to look at its screen all the time, and I still think this is one of the best, the crispest screens on any device out there. And that's mainly because of how small it is. It can be a lower resolution, and that compensates by being physically a lot smaller. So even though it is a lower resolution than a lot of the modern displays we see out there for these emulation handhelds, it doesn't look low resolution. Because how small it is, the perceived sharpness of it is a lot higher than it would otherwise be if it was even half the resolution that it currently is. Speakers are just okay. I don't really listen to much of the music or audio of any of the games I play, mainly because I'm playing a lot more public settings, and it's just rude to have the audio just blaring out for everybody here. Like, people are just trying to live their lives. The last thing I need to be doing is just be blaring out Pokemon music from this device, disrupting or annoying people. Also, just don't want to bring any more attention to myself than I already do. I could use headphones, but I don't really care enough about the music of any of the games I really play to dedicate bringing a pair of wired headphones to use with this thing. To surmise, I still think the Miyoo Mini is one of my favorite devices. It's a great value, and I would still recommend it to the right person if it fits their specific use case. I would love to hear what you guys think. Do you still love your Miyoo Mini? Are you considering buying one? I would love to hear what you guys think down below. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All of the other social media coverage down below. And last but not least, have a wonderful day.